Welcome. Bam, we're live.
Appreciate that. There it is.
Dude, thanks for coming on. Oh, hey, let me change I'm going to change your name here to, say it again.
It's my first mistake. I'm a listener. I definitely should have put my IG name on there. I should have known you do this.
Drifting and
Lifting. Yep. Simple and catchy.
And then I'll just space this out. See if that does it.
Yeah, that looks perfect.
What's up, Zach? Hey, why drifting and lifting? Isn't that what cars do?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's also, I guess, a little bit of a, like, just traveling around, roaming around. Especially when I was a little bit younger, a little bit of a adventurer. Still love to, do stuff, experience stuff. Me and my girlfriend just moved up to Colorado from Texas about a little over a year ago, for instance. So we definitely like to, have fun and, experience different places and things.
And so I think I did a lot of that when I was young too. Basically, you mean just like being a pickup truck, drive around little cities, sleep in the back of the truck, hike trails, camp, just do whatever. You lived that life?
That's it. Not so much, not as not the full van life or full RV life, full time, but, taking little trips like that. Went on a 3-week backpacking trip over to Europe back in my 20s, that type of stuff.
Oh, that's cool. I had a Toyota pickup truck, and kind of a weird story. It actually got towed away, and when it got towed away, the police never called me to tell me it had been towed away, and so it was a fucking mess. No, sorry, it was stolen. I reported it stolen, then it was found, and they never told me it was found. And so by the time I looked into it to see that it was found, I couldn't afford to get it out of the, graveyard. You know what I mean? Like, the value, it was going to be like thousands of dollars to get it out, but it was only worth $1,000. Kind of sucks. It was like my first car ever.
But was it more because it had been there for so long?
Yeah. But it was their fault. It was fucking insane.
Horrible.
But either way, I lived in the back of that. I went all over the United States in the back of that truck, and it was awesome. And I had a dog, and I would just go places and just sleep in the back of my truck. Yeah, it was cool. It was a good life, man. If you're, how old are you?
32.
Yeah, if you're in your late teens or your 20s and you never just fucking get out and hit the road, man, you're missing out. Especially in this country, we're so stoked that we have all these road networks and cool towns and all this shit.
Yeah, travel's so easy. I mean, you can just pick up and go. I mean, I guess gas prices are a little more these days, but it's still,
you could do it.
It's still not bad, right? It's still not bad.
You could do it. I had a can opener and I just ate like canned food. I remember just eating a lot of like canned garbanzo beans and just shit like that. Yeah.
Right. Hey, and
it was a good ass life. Why did you move to Texas?
From Texas. We raised in Texas, grew up in Texas.
Okay.
Moved to Colorado, the Denver area.
Okay.
But honestly, kind of what we were talking about, just something new. I've been in Texas, living there for, pretty much all my life. Went to college, from Dallas, so the North Texas area. Went to college in Central Texas, in San Marcos. But, it just both kind of, the pandemic helped a lot, kind of being stuck inside and like, what are we doing here? Is this where we want to be? We had always kind of joked about moving, and then those jokes just every day got 1% more serious until we were talking about getting new jobs and moving.
And your girlfriend sounds cool. It's cool to have a mate that's like just up for that.
Right. And, we had talked before, we both kind of always we were both raised in Texas and always wanted to live elsewhere. She went to college up in Oklahoma, so got that experience too. But it was always kind of a traveler before we started dating as well. And so, when you have a partner, it's even easier. Sometimes being on your own is a little bit scary for people, especially if you've never done it. Once you do it, you get more used to it and more comfortable, I'm sure, as you know. But it's with a mate, with especially your best friend, it's fun.
What kind of car do you have?
A Kia Sorento, a little small SUV.
Reliable? That's reliable. Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah, I mean, that better gas mileage. I used to have kind of a lifted Toyota Tundra with the bigger tires and the blacked out rims, and what I call my dream car. I had that, but this is a little cheaper, a little more efficient gas wise.
Yeah, it's the one you hang out with your lady and travel around the country.
Yeah, exactly.
So you saw the episode after I went to Disneyland.
Yeah, that was what made me reach out to you, because it was it was interesting hearing your perspective on things. And, I mean, I'm sure that place is even more than most places, but I think a lot of people kind of relate to what you were saying, just going around kind of seeing the size of people these days.
Give me 1 second. Something happened with your audio all of a sudden. All of a sudden, it's like popping and crackling. Are you just talking into a computer?
No, I'm using my phone.
Will you just hang up and log back in for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's right. His audio is messed up, or that's my headphones. No, something went sideways with the audio. We'll have him log out and come back in. That was a weird crackling, right? It seemed like he was even using like AirPods or something. Good morning, Corey, Eric, Heidi, Corey, Eric, Corey, Bruce. That's a lot of Corey's listening to the show. Corey Pulido, and Corey Leonard. Sam, good morning. We'll see.
All right. How's that sound?
Oh, much better. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Much better. Okay. So you saw the episode and then what were you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, I just, I thought that what you were saying was true. One of the things I love about your show is just how real you are with it. But I think it was real relatable. Like, I'm sure Disneyland is a bit more personified than some places, but I think a lot of people just walking around everyday life see the size of people these days and how there's a lot of very, there's a difference between being, slightly overweight, you need to lose 10 pounds versus you need to lose 100 pounds.
Just the people in carts. I seriously think the more and more distance I get from Disneyland, I'm realizing that. So I used to go to A's games, the Oakland Athletics games in high school and with my friends, and we'd sit in the bleachers, and we did that to drink alcohol. Okay, at least I did. I didn't go. Went there to drink beer, right? And I think that people go to Disneyland to eat sugar. I seriously don't think I think it's just an excuse. It's like when I used to smoke cigarettes, all I would do was move from point to point smoking. So I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to work now. And then I couldn't wait to take my break so I could be in the back with the smokers. I'm going to go to this coffee shop so I can smoke. I think that you reach a certain size of a human being, let's say a 400-pound human being, and your life you become like a hummingbird. Ironically, you have to move from point to point consuming sugar. I'm guessing. No one's ever told me that, but I'm guessing.
Man, you are right. From a guy that was, I mean, I'm a big guy still. I'm about 220, 230 pounds, depending on, how healthy I'm being at the time. But I used to be about the highest number I ever saw on a scale was 341 pounds. I think I was bigger than that at one point, but I just say that because that's the number I saw.
Yeah.
But from somebody who was that big, and my life was kind of like that, you're a bit of an addict, and people, kind of throw that term around, but being a food addict is real. And you mentioned, kind of going from point to point to point, and you hear people talk about, like you mentioned, you're planning your next cigarette. I'm gonna have a cigarette here. All right,
yes.
Here, I'm gonna do a cigarette. There are people that wake up and their first thought is, all right, what am I gonna eat? What am I gonna? And then before they go to bed, what's the food for the next day? And I think there's a lot of people that they could, do without thinking about food for a bit. But it's hard. You're an addict. You're addicted.
It's hard.
Yeah. And, you're driving home and it's like, what am I going to have for dinner? Oh, there's the Taco Bell. Okay.
I'll just have one taco, and then you go through the drive-thru and you're like, fuck it. And you order 6 and a Coke. Yeah.
3 tacos, 3 quesadillas.
Hey, do you think it's a weird thing to talk about? I had some friends who they weren't upset with me. But I hurt their feelings. And I never want to hurt. I'm never like, hey, I want to hurt someone's feelings. And if I do, something's wrong with me. Like when I get to that point where I'm like trying to hurt people's feelings, it's like, okay, that's not a good place to be. It's one thing to say something that hurts someone. It's like, hey, that's just the way it is. But
no, I think what you're getting at is true, and it's hard to have those conversations, and that's part of the problem. There's the real information is not being put out there. Because if it is, it's usually coming from maybe a bit of a boot camp style, a bit of a militant, you got to do this. You're not from a place of positivity. Hey, let's have an open, honest discussion about it. And that's kind of where I try to come in. And one of the things I really try to do is is have that from a place of positivity, and not ever trying to shame. Unfortunately, sometimes feelings get hurt, but if you're being truthful and real, then that's not your problem, that's theirs.
And this is the part, this is the I was talking with someone about this the other day. This is what we're competing with in terms of what to put in your mouth, right? You have one of the most beautiful, epic human beings alive, pushing this as a substance to put in your body. And you even think the Olympics, which are supposed to be the pinnacle of human performance and health, they're basically funded by the chemicals that I would argue appear to be at the source of the collapse of humanity.
Yeah, I mean,
and so it's a trip, right?
It's crazy, and you I mean, it's a bold statement what you just made, but it's true. You can trace so many things if you trace it all the way back, and not just immediate short-term type stuff. Like, look at it all the way through. Diet, sugar, hormone imbalances are an issue for a lot of people in this country. I mean, the world, let's be honest. This country is in abundance, though, and that's a big issue, is abundance.
It would seem like you could easily argue that someone who weighs 400 pounds is consuming 10x what someone who's 150 pounds. And why I say that is just your clothes, the amount you eat, the fuel it takes, the medical resources. You just go down the line, and you're like, and then I would also argue, and this is where it's like, I don't hurt anyone's feelings. You would also argue that your contribution is significantly less.
Yeah.
And your negative contribution. So that's the other thing that I don't think, and that's why I like having people like you on. You are, in my mind, the modern day hero, because and I've said this a million times, I think we're just mirrors here. I don't really think that, and we're parading around as Sevan and Zach, and we try to have a little bit of our own identity, but I don't really think that's what's going on. I think we're just mirrors, and we reflect each other, and we're constantly telling each other what's okay and what's not okay. So when I walk down the street with a cigarette and a Coke, and I'm 100 pounds overweight, I'm telling everyone around me that that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want to, I think at our deepest level, we want to reflect back to people what they're showing us.
Yeah.
And so when someone like you, your narrative changes, that you went from unhealthy to healthy, I think everyone around you gets that spark.
I hope so. I mean, that's what I'm trying to put out there. That's the plan. That's part of my purpose, I feel like, for sure. And
we got the audio issue again.
Damn. Not again. Oh no.
Try one more time logging out, and then I'll get you back on track when you come back in.
All right.
Okay. Funnel cakes. You guys are talking about funnel cakes? I don't even know what a funnel cake is, but you're Bruce, you're banned. I just banned Bruce Wayne forever. That's it. He's gone. He'll never post again. Last time I went to Disney World, the best ride was, I don't know that ride. I went on 6 rides. Paid $1,000 for my family to get in there. We got 6 rides. So we were just talking about basically being a role model, an example for people around you.
Yeah, and it wasn't the plan originally. It was like to get healthy for myself, but I saw what it did for other people. People started, because I after college went into the mortgage industry for a while. I kind of did home refinance loans, worked in a bit of a call center, which isn't the healthiest environment. But led to a lot of weight gain. But when I got into got into fitness for myself is when I got into fitness back again as a profession. And being able to see, like you mentioned, people coming up to me, hey, this is amazing. How did you do it? And I'm like, it's not that hard. But the things that I thought was simple and for lack of a better word, obvious, it was not obvious. It's not prevalent. The information's not out there. So I love using it as a platform to talk to people, bring, my story, my pictures, the transformation stuff can bring them in, but talking to people about their lifestyle and what are the things that are going to lead to that very unhealthy place and how you can get from there. Cause there's so much information out there, and it's hard to decipher what works, what doesn't. Everyone's different. And then sometimes people get caught up too much in like the details of things. That's for sure.
Can you give me an example of something that you and I might think is obvious because of the path we're on, but that's not obvious for a lot of people?
Yeah. And these are things that I before was horrible about, but it's things that you learn. And it's like, people, you could miss a meal. It's okay. You're not going to die. I promise you. You're not even going to be unhealthy. You might actually be healthier if you just miss. I mean, it's okay. People think as soon as they wake up, they got to eat. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I mean, maybe if you got a heavy training session in a bit, but for most people and the people we're talking about, that's not the case.
Right. That's so interesting. You're right. I remember when I thought that it was okay to eat bread, like that just bread was like an important when I was a kid. And then one day in high school, one of my buddies who was in great shape is like, "Hey, dude, why do you eat all that bread?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It's a waste."
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's just how he explained it to me. That's how, like 17-year-old boy to 17-year-old boy talk.
Yeah.
It's a waste. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
My homeboy just told me bread's a waste. And so, yeah. And now you're right. Missing a meal. I would never, ever be concerned about missing a meal. But you think that a large amount of people are like, holy shit. Like at 3:00, they're like, what am I going to have for dinner?
Yeah. And I mean, the bread's a great one too. When people build their plate, the first thing they start with is the carb source and build it out from there. Yeah. The majority of these people we're talking about. And I mean, I'm a big fan of the Liver King and Paula Saladino. And I believe your protein should be the center of your plate. Build it out from there, depending on your, activity level, things like that, what you need to support your life. But most people, they look for, is it going to be a pasta? Is it going to be a bread? Is it going to be what am I building around this carb? Which carb am I building around? That's for sure a big one that people, I think, have wrong.
This journey that you're on, so I'm guessing you used to think that too. Yeah, you got to have bread. If you don't have bread, like bread's a source of life, right?
Yeah, and people, even because I always worked out. I was an athlete growing up, and so I always lifted. When I got real heavy, I was really into like strongman and stuff like that. And it was just kind of an excuse to eat whatever I wanted, really. I let my addiction run wild. But it was especially if you're training and stuff, you think, oh, I need carbs. And yes, to an extent, but you don't need that many carbs, especially if your goal is to reduce body fat and you're carrying excess body fat. I mean, basically, we're a fire, right? We're continuing to burn. You have a lot of gas stored up in your body. If you never, run through that, if you're always just putting more and more in, it's either going to store or just stay stored. You're never going to burn the excess fuel that's on your body. You need to use that as fuel instead of the carb source.
When you were a kid, you weren't overweight?
Oh, no, I was always heavy. I was always a big kid, just grew up big. I always joke, I was real like tall, younger kid. I was like 5'10" in the 5th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I was like 5'10", never.
Yeah. And I'm like 6 foot now. So I've grown 2 inches in 20 years. So,
okay.
things slowed down. I didn't quite make the NBA, but I was always a big guy. I was a little thinner when I was younger because I was tall, and then kind of started filling out a bit. Played sports though. So depending on the season, you kind of get in a little better shape and stuff like that.
And then, did you have insecurities about it as a kid?
Oh, absolutely. And you got teased about it, and you learned to, be the funny fat guy, and I think one year in high school, I won like best sense of humor or something like that. And it was just, you're always cracking jokes because you gotta try to, you think nobody's going to like me for the way I look. So I have to, the personality's got to win them over,
Were you ashamed? Like you didn't want to take your shirt off at swim parties and shit like that? Like if ever went to the beach, you'd be like hiding and.
Yeah, never wanted to take the shirt off, but I also was like, I knew the white shirt was like a highlighter. If you don't want somebody to read a word, don't highlight it.
Right. Oh, sorry, you're cracked. Will you log off and log back in again? Sorry.
Oh, goodness,
it's sorry. Okay. Don't worry. I've accepted that that's the way the show is going to be. Protein is my favorite. I know. Wasn't that video funny? The food pyramid is upside down. Did you see that South Park episode? How funny was that? Do the schools teach nutrition anymore? Food pyramid? I'm sure they teach some sort of crazy bullshit. Oh, you think that's what it is? You think it's because he doesn't have headphones? I don't know. I don't think so. I've had lots of people who don't have headphones.
Trying.
Maybe though. Do you have headphones? Do you have AirPods?
I do, but they're kind of old, and I've heard that like when I call people on the phone, they don't sound very good. I could try
Fuck
them.
it. Nah, fuck it. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No, you're good. Where are we at?
So you're a young man, you're growing up and you're heavy. So it's always in mind. You know what's weird too now? Like I'll go places and I will be sitting down somewhere and like 30 kids will come in, like a classroom full of kids, and they'll be 8th graders. They'll all be obese.
Yeah, right. That's what I was about
like
to say.
every single one. And I'll be like, wow. So I guess in the chick who's like 30 pounds overweight's now the skinny one.
Yeah. Yeah. Thick with 2 C's.
Yes. and we're right. And so then I start to think, I wonder if it's those kids all have, because I was like that too. I wasn't even, I wasn't big or anything, but I just didn't look like the other kids. So I just didn't want to ever, I was like always kind of hiding.
Yeah.
I wonder if, it's like that for them.
Yeah. I think everybody grows up with insecurities no matter what it is, right? Oh, I don't like my hair. I don't like my nose. I'm too small. I'm too big.
Right.
Whatever. Right. But, I think one of those things is very unhealthy. The other thing
and fixable. My nose isn't fixable. My height's not fixable, but I can address my weight.
That's so true. A great point. Yes, absolutely.
And my body composition.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
the shape of it.
Right. Correct. I mean, there are things you can do. Besides surgeries or anything like that, there are things that you can do. They require work, and that sometimes scares people off too. There was
a kid in my junior high who had lats. He was on the swim team, and I remember thinking, "Oh, I want those."
Yeah,
and I worked to get them.
Yeah,
in 49 years or whatever, 40 years later, I have lats. But you got to work to get them. You can get them, but you got to just work to get them. A lot of lat pull downs, then pull ups, and then rows, and the whole shebang.
Yeah, 6 years ago, I couldn't do 1 bodyweight pull up. Now I'm up to 8. I'm trying.
Wow.
Strict. I'm trying to get to 10. I'm trying to.
And when so you go through high school and you graduate, and how much do you weigh when you graduate? Do you remember?
I was about 250, 260. Okay. I was an offensive lineman on the football team. So, I was one of the big guys, and, they encourage you to be big at that point. They're not trying to say, oh, this might not be the healthiest. It's no, you gotta, be big and strong. But yeah, about 250, 265. I lost a little bit of weight in college, just trying to get in shape, girls.
Yeah, I know.
And then after college was really when the weight gain started. It was probably about 235, 240, maybe 230, about my lowest, kind of about what I am now, but far different composition, as you mentioned. And then from there, it was a pretty much steady gain all the way up to about 340, 350 over the course of a few years.
Drink beer, smoke weed, repeat, eat.
Yeah, not as much of the weed at that time. I wasn't living in Colorado at that point, but
right.
It was definitely drink and eat. It was wake up, eat. We'll start from the beginning, right? As an addict, as a largely overweight person, you wake up and you got to think about food. So you wake up, eat, go through your day thinking about what you're going to have for lunch, eat, go through the rest of your day thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. I mean, I worked out and, in between there, like I said, I was kind of doing the strongman training, and I liked it because I could eat whatever I wanted. I wasn't trying to be on stage bodybuilding.
What would you eat first thing in the morning?
Usually I've always liked eggs. Now, so for instance, this is a good comparison, right? Because back then it was eggs plus hash browns or toast with peanut butter all over it, usually a piece of fruit, and, maybe some bacon or sausage mixed in with the eggs, probably about like 5 to 6 eggs. Whereas nowadays it's 4 eggs with some sprinkled cheese and some sprinkled bacon bits.
And no bread, no hash browns.
No, I don't need carbs, at that time of the day. Right. And so, and I usually don't eat till about like 11 or noon. I kind of intermittent fast a bit, but that kind of actually was one thing that helped me because it trained my mind to not always think about food.
When I had a friend come into town and was visiting, and I started going out to breakfast with them every single morning, and I probably hadn't had pancakes in 2 years, like, or anything like that. And 4 days in a row, this is a few months ago, and 4 days in a row, I had pancakes with syrup.
Yeah.
Probably the most carbs I had in those 4 days than I probably had in the previous 4 months. And I don't know if it was water retention or what, but I put on 15 pounds in 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and it's
And I'm not a big dude. I'm a little dude. It
yeah.
was crazy.
Your body will do some crazy things when you the initial time, like right away when you change one way or the other. And, you know, even if you start to kind of get healthy, that's the thing that scares, you know, kind of tricks people too, is your body might not feel right away. If you do cut out all the toxins and poisons that you're putting in your body currently, or vice versa, you know, if you add them right away, I mean, it's basically what you put in your body was, in a way, poison to your body.
Yeah. Do you have those AirPods next to you? Fuck it. Let's try them.
Well, let me go grab them. I'll be right back.
Okay. Let's see. Let's try them. I wonder what that is. That his phone sounds good for a long time, and then all of a sudden it goes sideways. Colin, you're alive. He is alive. He's alive. He's too busy in my DMs to do the show anymore. I saw that. New high school graduation requirements, finance and nutrition. Well, I saw in Florida that they had the financial literacy as a now part of the requirement for the state of Florida, which go figure. That's better than how about those kids that are, I don't know, I still can't believe it's a true story, but I think I saw it on MSN. Those kids who are getting in trouble for they're getting charged for sexual harassment for using the wrong pronoun. That's fucking nuts.
Is that real?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen the article now twice. I saw it on MSN. I need to look more into it. But fuck, it's bizarre.
Do I sound better?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you're just had to log out and log back in again. Thank you for trying that, though. Don't worry. It's not a big deal. We'll just keep doing it every 10 minutes.
Right. Hey, there we go.
Trying to get someone to send his kids to public school. Not in this lifetime. Not in this lifetime. I know. Hey, how about that? What if those kids are being charged with sexual harassment for using the wrong pronoun? Can you imagine you send your kids to school and they get a sexual harassment charge? Someone calls them a fat piece of shit, and that's okay. They just get, hey, don't do that. But they use the wrong pronoun, and you get fucking the police there. What a mess. My kids can't be even. I wouldn't even put my kids in that environment.
All right, we got 10 minutes before,
and it's a joke until it's your kids. Okay, so then you put on this weight, and did you have some sort of scare or something? What made you like take control of your life?
Yeah, so 100%. So I was training strongman, and actually was competing in strongman. And
this is down in Texas still.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the land of beef and heavyweights.
Yep.
But yeah, so actually was doing a real heavy yoke carry and messed up my back. Was already having some pain before and really injured my back. And it was a pretty bad. It took like 6 weeks of recovery, to even be able to kind of like move, freely. It took about 6 weeks.
Did you break? Did you damage a vertebra?
Yes. L5S1 was like the major one, the lowest one. And it was it really pinched off the sciatic nerve.
Okay. It didn't break though.
Yes, it did. It slightly fractured. They had to repair it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so kind of laid up. I had just started at a new company. As I mentioned, I was a mortgage banker, and they fired me because I was within my first 90 days. I was going to miss so much time. And so, real nice thing, but it is what it is.
And so then you got even more, you got a little depressed.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I had to, I used to live on my own in an apartment in a nice part of town. And, kind of shops and bars all around. And then I had to break my lease and move back in with my mom because, thank God for her. I couldn't operate. And so, but, long story short, kind of started, during the healing process. Well, it was during the laid up process, in all honesty, is when you start thinking about your life in a way. Not solitary confinement, but in a way, if you're confined to your bed and all you have is Netflix, The Office gets old quick. So just thinking about life, didn't really want to be in the mortgage industry anymore. I tried to go to this new company to find a new beginning, but really didn't like it. And my initial, my degree and major in college was kinesiology and exercise science.
No shit.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
always loved working out. The dietary habits are the horrible part.
How much weight did you put on after you broke your back?
So here's a good one. Here's a great one. You kind of talking about a common misconception. When I broke my back, I was about 340 to 350. Mm-hmm. In 6 weeks, I got down to 295 by laying in bed because I wasn't eating.
And why weren't you eating? Were you just popping Vicodins and chilling, or
basically, try to get for a little bit, and I couldn't walk to the kitchen. My mom was at work. So
wow.
I would have one meal a day, and usually it was a big meal, whether it be a big caniac combo from Raising Cane's chicken or something like that.
But that wasn't conscious. That was like, hey, my back's broken. I'm stuck in bed, and I can't, like, every time I don't have a thought I don't like, I can just go to the kitchen and like throw down a Coke and
exactly.
And I was butter and jelly. Okay.
I was thrown into the deep end of rehab, right? I was get detoxed, and you learn that you don't have to have a meal. I'm fine.
Okay.
You learn that it's not all about food. You learn.
You're lucky. You're lucky it happened like that. You're lucky someone there wasn't there. I think that there's people who are in that situation and someone's just bringing them like boxes of donuts.
Yeah, for sure. And I basically got forced into trial intermittent fasting because I ate one meal a day. And it was probably a 2,000 to 3,000 calorie meal. I'm being honest, but my dietary habits before were far closer to 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day.
Yeah, you were having 3 of those meals.
Correct, if at least.
Right, with snacks.
Yeah, that's another thing. Snacks.
Okay, so you drop down to 295, and are you aware that this transformation is happening, and are you kind of enjoying it? You're like, well, I'm fucking laid up, but I just lost 50 pounds.
Yeah, not right away, but it was like, over 6 weeks losing 50 pounds. I noticed it for sure, especially as I was able to kind of get up and go to the bathroom, get in front of the mirror again. You're like, I definitely felt softer because I wasn't lifting weights or anything. It's like my shoulders and arms were smaller, but my gut was far smaller too.
Your body temperature was changing too, right? Like I had a friend who would get all juiced up on roids, and he was 6'2", he's a little taller than you, but he says anytime you go over 300 pounds, everything fucking changes. He says you have to have a fan on you at all time. He says you can't be in still air.
Yeah,
I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, you have to have a fan on you.
Yeah, especially being down in Texas. I would go outside in shorts and a t-shirt and start armpit sweating in 40-degree weather. Just walking around. You bend over to tie your shoes, and that effort and coming up breaks a sweat, even in air conditioning.
Wow. Okay, because it's always like, if you're a 200-pound man, healthy, and you weigh 350 pounds, that means you're carrying 5 bags of 50-pound dog or whatever, 3 bags of 50-pound dog food on you at all times. Like
you have 2 75-pound sandbags, one on each shoulder.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Sorry, you got to log off and log back in again. Damn. It's okay. And he's back. What are we, every 5 minutes we're going to do this? The noise is Amazon listening in. Maybe it is. I like that. It's Alexa. We'll ask him. Let's test that theory. Hey, Zach, do you have an Alexa in the room?
No.
Oh, okay. It was just a weak theory by one of the listeners. They said it's Alexa listening in. Okay.
I have one, but it's not in this room. I had to think.
Okay.
But no, it's not in this.
Yeah,
room.
Ignore him. That guy's known to be crazy.
Okay. No, I love the comments. I'm trying not to read them while I'm on it, because then I get nervous and overthink things.
Yes, it's tough not to read the comments. Okay, so you lost that weight, and did that set a spark?
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I mentioned before, I always kind of had a passion for like strength training in a way, or what I like to call working out. Definitely not the nutrition aspect of things at that time as much, but always had a passion for working out and wanted to be a strength conditioning coach, personal trainer type when I was in college and even in high school. So kind of wanted to go back down that path. But like you mentioned, kind of seeing the results and seeing things, it definitely gave me a spark. It definitely got me to, want to continue to, hey, what's going on here? Why is this happening? How could this happen? This is not what I've been told is supposed to work. I'm skipping meals. That would slow my metabolism down. I would actually end up gaining weight if I skip meals. You hear things like that, and it's, when you're forced into things that work, which is, a caloric deficit. My activity levels at that time were not high. My calorie, consumption did not need to be high, even though, it actually kind of was. But even laying down, you have a basal metabolic rate. Your body burns calories being alive, being awake. I wasn't moving, but my body was probably still burning. Over what I was consuming because I was losing weight.
And then, so what your back is basically broken. You're stuck in bed for 6 weeks. You lose 50 pounds, and then what happens? What are the first movements you start doing? Like, how do you start? What happened? How old were you then? How long ago was this?
It's about 6 years ago.
And one of the things you said to me that I really liked in when we were texting back and forth is not only did you lose 120 pounds, but you've kept it off for 4 years.
Yep. My weight's always fluctuated throughout my whole life. As I mentioned, I could gain and lose 20 to 30 pounds depending on whatever in a few months. It was just, I'm one of those type of people. Some people are hard gainers or things like that, but that was no problem for me. But it's the keeping it off is the hard part. People go on crash diets all the time, but they don't change their lifestyle.
Right.
And so that's, you have to make sustainable changes. That's a good word I like to use, sustainable changes, because a cayenne pepper and lemon infused water for 4 meals a day, you can't do that forever. So yes, you're going to lose weight initially, but as soon as you go back to Krispy Kremes for breakfast and thinking about what you're going to have for lunch and dinner throughout the whole day, nothing changed. You're going to go back to where you were.
It's interesting you say that because I don't eat on Saturday nights. I stop eating and I don't eat again until Monday morning. And people ask me if they should do it, and I don't think for most people that's sustainable.
No, but they could start small.
Yeah, totally. They could start small. But if you have a I don't know. I just think that's something like it works well for me. I'm 50 years old and my life's pretty chill, right? I have 3 little boys, so it's crazy like that. But I don't
your activity and your workouts are probably planned differently on Sunday versus Wednesday when you've had meals in you throughout the week.
And you have to be, if you have a and shit gets weird, right? You go to a wedding, you're not eating. Family comes over, you're not eating. You have to be ready for things that you don't think that are going to be big deals will become big deals, not just for you, but for other people. What do you think for someone who is, and I don't even think it's, I think that there's a huge percentage of people who are 100 pounds overweight now. Like monstrous. What would you say is the very first thing someone like that should do? Also, another thing is, although we know changing your diet is more powerful, I suspect, I have no proof of this, that if you start moving first, you will then make the changes to make moving easier. So like when I started CrossFit, I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. And then at some point I was like, fuck, this like, I have to choose.
Yeah.
These aren't working together.
That's for sure. And movement, and it adds twofold, right? Because you have now you're adding in burned calories. Even the simplest of movements, a walk, especially with somebody 100 pounds overweight.
Right.
Especially with somebody who's carrying, what we talked about, the imaginary sandbags on their shoulders. Right. Even a walk is going to burn plenty of calories. Plus, your body will adapt. Adaptation is what occurs. So not just the actual science of calories in versus calories out, but your body says, if I'm going to walk 10 minutes every day, all of a sudden, I got to be less weight. I got to be more fleet of foot. All right. The body knows. The body will adapt. Now it's not an overnight process, right? But stimulus causes adaptation. That's exercise science. And that's kind of one of the things for sure. But that's one of the things I try not to dive too deep into. I try to keep it pretty simple and not use big terms because, as you mentioned, the question you mentioned first was somebody who's 100 pounds overweight, where would you start? And that's a great question. There's a few things you definitely got to see what's going on, because every person's different. So what is going on in your life? What are your lifestyle habits? What's your dietary habits, activity habits, all that. But there are a few key things that we can just start right away. First thing, quit drinking any calories. Just stop. It's empty, wasted calories. Most people, even if they think they're eating healthy, if you drink 6 sodas in a day, well, now you've added 1,500 calories. So your 1,500 or 2,000 calorie day just became 3,000.
And what do you think about diet soda?
I mean, it depends. I really try to preach health and fitness, as well as just, what your body looks like in the mirror. But at the end of the day, they are 0 calories. So they're not going to add much in the way of calories. It's better. It's better. And that's the thing that some people confuse, right? They think healthy versus healthier. No. Diet sodas are not healthy.
Right.
But they are healthier than a real soda.
Yeah. If you would have told me 30 years ago that I would never drink soda, I wouldn't believe you, but I never drink soda. I never even think of soda.
The only thing I drink is water or alcohol if it's that time.
Yeah, I would think it's so easy to quit drinking soda too if you just switch to sparkling water.
That's a great one.
You get that same burn sensation.
Yeah, the fizz. Yeah, people like that.
Another trippy thing is I always thought that I drank coffee for the caffeine, right? That was the drug I would chase. And when I made the series Killing the Fat Man for CrossFit, and I had Gary Roberts on there, he liked coffee because of creamer. And that shit is fucking Satan.
Yeah, people think, and we're getting back into liquid calories, liquid drink.
Right.
Oh, and I mentioned the Kansas soda, but a Starbucks, whatever, Frappuccino.
What's a Kansas soda? What's that? Kansas soda.
Oh, cans.
Okay, I thought you said Kansas soda. I thought that was like when you open a Coke and then put in another 5 tablespoons of sugar. Okay.
Yeah, I see. No.
Okay.
That's funny though. There are things like that for sure, but but yeah, people make their coffee and they order. People order like a caramel Frappuccino, and then they also ask for 4 packets of sugar or Splenda. It's like, hold on. I mean, we are at so much sugar now. We are at so many calories now. So you're basically, adding another 1,000 calories to your daily diet.
I wanted to show you this. Oh, have you seen this new Pepsi product out? It's a can. God, I can't find it. And it has 62 grams of sugar. Oh, it's called Pepsi Super. Oh, Nitro. I think is that what it is? It's Nitro.
That's so much sugar. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. That's
Nitro Pepsi.
But there's so much sugar in things that you wouldn't even think there's sugar in. I mean, obviously we all know sodas, and so it's kind of an obvious one. But I mean, look at if you go get a Jimmy Dean frozen breakfast bowl from the grocery store. I mean, go look at the sugar in that. It says it's just eggs, cheese, sausage, and bacon, but it's got 30 grams of sugar. It's like, hold on, what? No wonder it tastes so good. No wonder it's addicting.
Well, it's funny you say that. I was on a flight the other day, and they brought me a pancakes and syrup, and I passed on it, or it was waffles. And then I said, "Hey, do you have any beef jerky?" And they said, "Sure." I was on United, and she brought me the beef jerky, and I opened it and I took a bite, and I'm like, I better check. 13 grams of sugar in a little tiny bag of jerky. I'm like,
yeah. Man. I always like to look at what's more in the meat products, the protein or the sugar.
That's nuts.
Because there's bags of jerky where protein's 11, sugar's 15. It's like, hold on, this is a meat product.
Those are the things also that people, the different levels of what you were saying about being healthy versus healthier.
Mm-hmm.
That people believe in these things called food droughts. And I think that that's so far away from the reality of what people need to be worried about. Like, people who talk like that are the same people who say there's privilege. No, you thinking like that is privilege. Your whole fucking thought process is fucked up. There's a huge difference between going to the store and getting a pack of fucking hot dogs that have 1 gram of sugar versus going in and getting a fucking Mountain Dew and a bag of Doritos. You can actually fucking change your whole fucking body composition and get healthier eating these ass hot dogs.
Yeah.
But people don't really. You can go to McDonald's and fucking don't order the fries, take off the top bun, don't get the shake, just get a water, get the burger with the bottom bun. And you were you're miles ahead of the dipshit who ate the fries and drank the shake.
Yeah, and people
and yet these privileged people who use this fucking word about privilege, it's almost like they're setting people up for failure. It's like, stop. You're giving them an excuse. Oh, because it wasn't an organic cucumber. Shut the fuck up.
yeah, and
Give people the fucking skills and tools that they need to start taking steps now. There's tons of easy steps to take.
Yep. There's like you mentioned, there's minor details. So people would think, oh, you know, they really focus on those minor, and it's like you're missing the big picture here.
I had a friend who was obsessed with Jack in the Box, and I would go there all the time with him, and that's exactly what I would do. I would just get I'd just get a cheeseburger with ketchup, mustard, and pickle, and take off the top bun.
Top bun, right? That's
yeah. And I never felt like shit. I never got the inflammation. But if I did every once in a while fuck around and get like an Oreo shake, or I would feel horrible for fucking 3 days.
Yeah, and there's people that live their life feeling that way because that's what they think is normal. That state of inflammation, that state of hormone imbalance, it's normal. And you mentioned one thing. You know, we were talking about overarching thing. So it's like what you need to be concerned about is sugar intake or calories and sugar, right? We'll throw a couple things out there. But then people think about
specifically refined sugar, right?
Yes.
Like don't worry about the apple, but worry about.
It depends. Again, we're talking about different people here. So the morbidly obese people an apple's not going to kill them, right? That's not the issue. But if you go, what I was about to say is if you go and you think, oh, I've seen this commercial for this acai bowl place.
Yeah.
That has
120
grams of sugar because there's so many fruits and syrups, and that's not healthy. But you think it's healthy because you don't know. I just need to be worried about sugar. You're like, I need to be eating these healthy foods, things like that. You get big picture things.
Did you get COVID?
Yes.
And how happy were you that you had lost that weight?
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, it was, it's serious. I mean, very happy to answer your question bluntly, very happy. I wasn't scared.
But you would have been if you were 340.
Yes.
Terrified. Right.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I'm young, I'm, healthy, but every picture, at least you see, there's plenty of numbers, but when you see actual people and actual pictures, over 90% of the ones I saw, people who passed away, were either 80 plus or 100 pounds overweight, at least.
Yeah. I have a guy coming on the show here in a couple of weeks. His name's Paul, and I met him at the beach, and he said that he was in the hospital for 82 days. And I said, with what? And he said, COVID. I'm like, no shit. And he goes, yeah. And they had given him a trach, and they had cut a hole in his stomach. And I was like, dude, you don't look like a dude who would have had that much trouble with it. And he said, yeah, well, I lost 50 pounds just lying there, or 80 pounds. I can't remember. And I was like, do you remember any of it? And he's like, no, they kept me unconscious. But he was also smoking like 2 cartridges of the Juul every day.
Yeah. Anything with the lungs, right? Because it was a respiratory type virus. So anything, if if you had lung cancer, if you were a smoker in any way, that type of stuff. I mean, it definitely, we saw that correlation for sure. But, you got to be careful what you read, right? So it's interesting for sure. But
so you stop. So number one, immediately stop drinking. Is that feasible to ask of someone? Like for me and you, it's normal. But like for someone who's like an addict, and you're 150 pounds overweight. Let's say you're a 150 pound man. You should weigh 150, but you weigh 300. Is that realistic to say, hey, you need to stop? You can still do everything you're doing, but what I'd like you to do is stop drinking calories at all.
Yes, yeah, I think very much so. I mean,
okay, no one's going to be like. I mean, I'm okay with
if you want it. If you want it.
I
mean, if you don't want to change, nobody can force you to do something you don't want. I mean, theoretically,
because I know it's not. I know it's not 100% realistic to be just like, hey, stop eating all refined carbohydrates and sugars. Like, fuck, that's just gnarly, right?
Right, and that's why I think I like to start with things like the liquid calories. I mean, we're not even getting into food yet. Can we at least talk about this? Like, if you really want to lose it, can we at least switch from sodas to sparkling water? And
none of that Starbucks shit either. That's the other crazy thing. Anytime I go into one of those places, I cannot fucking believe the drinks on the counter.
It's so many calories and sugar in such a small cup. It's crazy the how calorically dense those drinks are. It's insane.
America wakes up and just drinks a milkshake full of caffeine now.
Yeah. I mean, if you can, switch to black coffee. And again, we're talking about health versus healthier. Switch to a Monster. Don't those things have like 10 calories?
If you want the massive, caffeine spike.
Exactly. If that's what you need. Right. Exactly. Again, ultimately, we're going to get you off that too, but we got to start somewhere.
Dean Stevens, I lost 125 pounds, and when I stopped drinking, the weight fell off.
Yep, exactly. There's a few things you can cut out. Liquid calories and snacks are my two biggest things. If you are 100 or more pounds overweight, you do not need to be eating food in between your food.
I have this rule.
I want to say that one. I just want to say one more time.
Yep. Say it again. Yes.
If you are 100 or more pounds overweight, you do not need to be eating more food in between your meals. Snacks have got to go.
And then how many meals a day should you have?
I mean, it depends on your activity level. I'm more about, everybody's different. So I'm more about trying to focus on like the total calorie picture, how you break that up. If you can only eat twice a day, whatever, that's fine. I don't try to get in as much into that one.
Dean, there's these people, the way the human mind works is someone wants to say to you, okay, so say that to me again, and I want to be your client. Go ahead.
Say which part?
So number one is stop drinking your calories, and say number two to me, and say it to me like I'm your client, and I'm going to tell you like what a fucking pussy brain sounds like.
Yeah, okay, got you. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut out snacks. These are in added calories that we have on a daily basis that are unnecessary. We
Zach, I need my bag of celery and carrots. I have to have my celery and carrots by my desk. It's just celery and carrots. Can't I just have those so I can just nibble on them all day?
Unfortunately, no, because I'm going to tell you why.
You're an asshole.
Maybe, but I'm an asshole that wants you to be healthy.
Okay.
Live a long.
Because that's what people do. People are always looking for, I got a workaround. I'll just do celery.
Yeah.
I'll do a workaround. I'll just do water, like you were saying, with little cayenne and lemon.
Yeah. But what if I get hungry?
Yes.
For you to lose weight, we need to be in a caloric deficit. Your body will respond to a caloric deficit with hunger. Half the time you're hungry, though, it's not even because of the caloric deficit. It's other issues. The chemical response you get from your mouth pleasure when you put food in your mouth. All right. That's another thing why I try to eliminate snacks. We do not need to be dependent on putting things in our mouth all day, every day, and just feeding that addiction, feeding those bad habits.
And it reminds me of the nonsense I would hear, just the sheer stupidity. Girls in CrossFit would be like, "Oh, I don't want to get bulky," and the first thing out of my mouth would be like, "Well, two things. One, you don't have the fucking discipline or the commitment to get bulky, so shut the fuck up. And two, you want to stifle the expression of your DNA? Right. Like, what are you doing? What's your even purpose for being alive?"
And that's one of the things I try to get people a little bit away from. Don't get me wrong. Everyone wants to look good.
Right.
Everyone wants to look like my boy, Rich Froning.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
But,
everybody wants to look like Rich. There's a truer statement has not been said.
Right. But the thing is, if you get away from looks and closer to health, that's where the ultimate, your mindset has to change a little bit. Be more focused on your health and fitness. Your body will reflect, as you mentioned. You can't change your genetics. Your body will reflect your optimal. If you're at optimal fitness, your body will reflect that.
You froze. Look at. You may have to log out and log back in. Yeah, maybe the number one thing I heard as a coach from women. Yeah, nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts. Okay. Show's over. Bye. Good, great show. Jeremy, thanks again. Dude, you're too kind. Thanks, brother. Too kind. Beautiful kids. Congratulations. Thank you. It's because it's Bruce Wayne says it's Bruce. I thought but Bruce, you got kicked off the show. What are you doing? You can't comment anymore.
Okay. I guess that time it just kicked me off. It didn't even go to audio first.
But it's nice. It's nice. Okay. So number one, no drinking calories. Number two, you need to just start eating your meals. Like snacking is now not part of your, and is that doable? Is that?
Again, I think if you want it, yes. Again, we've done two things that are going to drastically change your lifestyle and caloric intake, and we haven't even talked about your meals yet.
So right, I like that. One of the things that my friends who've been like 100 pounds overweight have told me is that eating is it becomes a different kind of art form. You go if you know your wife's making a dinner and it's going to be ready in an hour, you tell her you're going to go out to the store and get something for her, like some milk, but you stop at McDonald's and get 2 Big Macs. But you don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Or you have a gallon of ice cream hidden in the back of the freezer somewhere and you eat the whole thing in one sitting. Like those types of things have to stop.
Yes. I mean, gorging, is on things is a big thing. Like,
did you ever do that? Did you ever gorge?
Oh, for sure. There'd be times where, my addiction would run wild and I would put down, multiple pints of ice cream in a night because it's just, who knows why. Or like you go, like you mentioned, I'm going to this party, not sure what the spread's going to look like. Let me stop by Taco Bell real quick. Like, come on.
But it's all just bullshit. It's all just stories. It's all just stories you're telling yourself.
Or that you've heard, because a lot of stuff, and unfortunately, eating disorders are a real thing. Don't get me wrong, but the far more prevalent issue in this country is not anorexia and bulimia. It is obesity, right? But we've kind of catered a lot of information sensitively to the people who have these eating disorders, and so people think if I miss a meal, I'm unhealthy. If I'm starving if I'm starving myself, I'm on, it's unhealthy. I need to, all these different things, right? And it's all geared towards eating, putting food in your mouth. And, when at the end of the day, we could miss a meal. Most people could miss a meal or two.
It reminds me also of the cigarette thing again. I can remember like if you were traveling for 2 weeks somewhere and there weren't, like, let's say I was going to Africa or just wherever, that was like as important as packing clothes. Like, yep. Okay, I need to have a pack of cigarettes for every day and then a bonus pack in case I lose a pack. And what's the plan if I lose all this shit or my luggage? And I have to carry the cigarettes with me because what if my luggage doesn't make it there? Because if I don't get nicotine, I'm going to fucking have a meltdown.
I mean, people take food vacations.
Yeah. Wow. I've never heard that term.
Oh, absolutely. People plan whole vacations around, areas that have good restaurants or resorts that are known for.
That's what cruises are too, right? That's what I noticed most at Disneyland. I was like, oh, I've been on a cruise ship once. This is identical to a cruise ship.
Yeah. I've never been on a cruise, but I get what you're saying. And I mean, it's basically people that they know there's multiple all you can eat options at all times of the day.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. And so that's a huge draw for a certain type of people. And when you go there, the body types reflect it.
Yeah, it's nuts. Hey, do you have concerns?
For?
Like, do you see the harsh?
My internet connection is concerning me, but besides
do you see the harsh strain that the current state of health in the world, like I see these people who are worried about like fucking global warming or nuclear war with Ukraine or all this shit. And I'm like, dude, all around, and even just the way people think, I think it's causing people. So you become overweight, you become weak, you become feeble, you start losing accountability, you start losing personal responsibility, you start relying on other people, you start blaming everyone around you, you start living in this fear mindset. And I just feel like it's this sort of cascade of events that people don't realize, and it's all around just eating. It's this food addict mindset, and it's like, I mean, it's kind of, those articles are pretty funny. I don't know if you've seen them, but there's a flurry of them have been released now, where it's people who exercise become right wing, and maybe that's true. Fuck.
I posted one of those on my IG story, some article that said, right wing, gym people like some connection. I'm like,
Right. But I'm starting to think, okay, well, shit, maybe that is, I mean,
The problem is the team. I mean, we got a team mentality in this country. It's right wing versus left wing.
right, right,
We're just talking about people trying to get healthy. It has nothing
right.
to do, but it all has to be put into one of these two boxes. Everything does.
But there is sort of this ideology, there's this ideology, the way I describe it is this, you probably heard it before, but a child falls down and the left-wing ideology is to go over and pick the child up. And the right-wing ideology is a child falls down and it's to make sure the child is safe so that it can stand itself up. And there's this benevolence that this feigned fake benevolence that comes with being left-wing, because you think that lifting the child up is what's good for the child. But 99% of the time, that's not true. You've actually hurt the child. And so that's what because they don't do any personal accountability themselves, they're always looking for help or to help someone else. When really, if everyone took care of themselves, I mean, you and I, because we take care of ourselves, people can't even imagine how much we help people. Like I was at the beach the other day, and I saw a lady, an 84-year-old lady who was stuck with walking sticks at the beach, and she was stuck between a bunch of rocks. And I was on the phone with a friend, and I go, "Hey, dude, I got to go." And I just hung up and I ran over and I helped the lady. And she had been stuck there for like 5 minutes. That's a long time for an 84-year-old. And she's probably like 60 pounds overweight. And I help her up through the beach and navigate the rocks. And one reason I did is it's part of my culture. Raised Armenian, like that's what we do. You don't ask someone if they're hungry. You don't ask someone if they need help. That's just you. I was taught by my mom and dad, especially my dad. You just handle your fucking business. But the other thing is if I was an obese person myself, I wouldn't have had probably the situational awareness to help her, or the confidence. And so it's this cat, because I'm so selfish, because I take care of myself, I was able to jump into action to help someone else. And those things are just like, I bet you, and I know it sounds like you want to get away from you're either left or right, and I so appreciate that. You are so right. But I bet you if you were to ask right-wing people, how many times did you help an old lady today versus left-wing people, the right-wing people, it's fucking 10-1.
Yeah, I mean,
they pull over, they help people, they're not scared, they fucking pick up hitchhikers, they do all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you're very true. Personal. The issue at hand for me, and you touched on it, is we have a problem in this country, I think, with personal responsibility and personal accountability.
Right. It's probably a better way to word it. Yeah. Because those other words are just so loaded that I use left and right. Right. And people get defensive. Like, what do you mean? My whole family's will be cool. We're good people.
Yeah. And it's just it's a blanket statement. And I try to just
fair. You're right.
Stuff.
You're right.
And, your proposed stat could be right, but who knows?
But why even divide it like that? It's like the same thing when people say black and white. Like, hey, even just dividing it like that, you're being racist. I hear you.
I 100%. That's the exact correlation I believe in. And
so maybe the focus is like, hey, if you are obese and you eat like shit, you're not going to think clearly.
Yeah, and there's people on, the numbers might be skewed one way or the other, but there are for sure people on both sides that
God knows there's tons of obese right-wing people,
or people that have personal responsibility issues, personal accountability. For sure.
Yes.
They need, they go to the grocery store and they're not going to be able to walk around. So they just assume that cart's going to be there. They hope.
Did you ever use the cart?
No. I was young. And like I said, I definitely had to be driven places after my back injury for a while and helped, but that was never like because of obesity or anything like that. No. But I would, try to get me to, walk up a couple flights of stairs without having to take a pause at one of them. That wasn't happening. I definitely would get out of breath super easy.
Man, stairs are a trip. You could be in the best shape of your fucking life and walk up a flight of stairs and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, I know your boy Matt Fraser always would mention the Stairmaster and get crap for it, but I mean, it's true. It's a heck of a workout. My goodness.
I want one.
I mean, it's basically just one, it's a half of a single leg squat, one after another. Just, it's
Do you own one of those?
No. The gym, one of the gyms I'm at has one.
It's funny how powerful someone like Matt can be, right? As soon as Matt talked about that, I was like, I want one.
Yeah.
I want one.
I'm sure, sales went up if you could track, just general Stairmaster sales somehow.
and then there's the one Josh Bridges used, that Jacob's ladder.
That one's a beast. I've only ever used that thing once.
I've never used that. It
what's
is
the
nasty.
one where you go up and down on like the hands and the feet?
The Versa Climber.
That one is tough too. I've done that.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's deceptive. You think, you're just moving around, staying in place a little bit. No, it's anytime your full body is moving for a constant, thing. Running, don't get me wrong, running is hard and stuff, but it's just your legs. When you add in like arms and legs going, the cardiovascular output just intensifies even more.
What do you think about this comment here? This one here. Counting calories, macros equals eating disorder nowadays. I don't know if she's saying that that's like the stigma, but what do you think? Do you count?
I have a general thing. I think that what she's getting into is where maybe you can get lost in the details. You can get, a little bit neurotic about different things, but I would much rather people be neurotic and addicted to counting their macros than eating Krispy Kremes and Taco Bell. In the long run, the other person will live longer. They might not, happiness is important. Don't get me wrong. And ultimately that's why I try to preach too, is like, let's do this I'm not giving you some crazy, diet. Like I said, we've talked about so many things. We haven't even talked about meals yet. Like we haven't even done that yet. So we're not being crazy or anything, but there are lots of issues. And I think the bigger eating disorder is overeating. There's a far bigger eating disorder of overeating in this country than people who count macros too diligently to where it becomes a stressor.
I want to, right. I hear you. I hear you.
But there are those people, what she's talking about, there are those people, but that's not who we are talking about right now.
Right. Now I'm going to swerve way off the subject. So I find all of these women extremely attractive. These are like, these are fucking like really fucking hot women. But they're big women, right? These are like 200+ pound women.
They're women. Yes. Yeah. They're not sticks. They're women. They have womanly curves.
So, but these women are on the verge of needing medication if they're not on medication already. Not maybe they're on the verge. Like look at this one right here. Do you see this one right here? This page 6-1. Right.
Okay. Here. Yeah. I can see it. Yep.
See, yes. She's not. If she's not on medication already, she's on track to be type 2 diabetic.
Yes, and I would classify her. She's an attractive girl in this picture.
Yeah, me too. I think she's fucking awesome.
But that's where we're talking about. Where I mentioned a couple times, I like to talk a little bit more about health and fitness as opposed to just aesthetics and body composition.
Right.
So,
now you're kind of fighting this. We're fighting this now too. There's this whole now conflation, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's
people body positive. I mean, things like that. And don't get me wrong. Yes. And we mentioned, the first thing you mentioned was you don't ever want to offend anyone. Anything you say, the goal is not to make somebody feel bad.
It's definitely not the goal. Right.
Exactly. If it's a byproduct because of their insecurities, we're sorry. Yeah.
But it's kind of hard sometimes too to do that, to like balance that.
It's so hard. And that's kind of what, I like to try to, one thing why I do what I do is because I feel like I can be relatable. If, we mentioned the GOAT, Rich Froning, I know he does CrossFit, but let's say he was a weight loss, coach or just a personal trainer at a local gym. He's always been in shape. He's always been shredded. He can't go show someone a picture of when he was 100 pounds overweight. And it's like, yes, it can be done. People sometimes have a hard time taking advice from somebody who hasn't quite been there, done that.
Who taught you this stuff?
Just studying, self-studied a lot. I mean, I had obviously a couple good mentors at some of the different gyms I've worked at, other trainers there, especially when I was kind of getting back into it. But I'm a big fan of it. I mean, I'm a nerd for the science of, exercise science. And then also with when it comes to weight loss and stuff like that, just researching different things. I watch videos, listen to podcasts all the time.
You have these people who are sort of these the people on the Mount Rushmore of fitness, like someone like Greg Glassman. But when push comes to shove, even in front of the largest crowds, he'll say any movement, any diet is a step in the right direction. and he believes big in experimentation. So whether you're doing the zone or you're doing the vegetarian or whether you're doing Atkins, like making progress in that direction, or whether you're doing step class or bar class or bodybuilding or CrossFit, it doesn't matter. But you have to be pushing kind of always in that direction.
Correct.
The experimentation.
Yeah, you mentioned a good thing that I definitely would love to touch on is like the different diets. And when we're talking about people who are 100 pounds plus overweight, we've mentioned a lot, calories is really the name of the game. When you get to a different level and you're already less than 10% body fat, now we're trying to add muscle while we sculpt. Now we're going to get into a whole different realm, which would be great. That's why you have a bodybuilding expert on for that. Right. But what we're talking about is calories. And at the end of the day, all these
and sustainable too, to use the word you used earlier.
Yes. And all these diets work at helping people lose weight because they're eliminating calories. If you go vegan, you're eliminating a good portion of your calories you had before, whether it be stuff from burgers or sandwiches, meat, right? If you go intermittent fasting, you're cutting out breakfast usually. There goes calories. If you go carnivore, you're cutting out everything but meat. There goes calories, right? All these different things is just eliminating calories, and that's why they all work for people. There's really not necessarily one that's better than the other. It's what would you like to eat and what can be sustainable for you, right? Now, I believe, people should have protein and meat in their diet, but if people want to eat vegan for ethical reasons, that's fine. You can do it healthily.
Get at it.
We probably need to you just need to be a little more cognizant of your protein intake. We're going to have to work a little harder to make sure that stays up, whether it be through beans or lentils or whatever, but you can do it, no problem, and be healthy doing it. But people, they don't realize that. They think, oh, I got to do this crash thing, and that's not sustainable.
And that's sort of the distinction also between getting from 10% to 5% isn't really sustainable either. Like getting maybe between 10 and 15% is sustainable. And then if you want to dabble and experiment and really fine tune and get to 5%, party on. But probably that's not if that's the diet you're going to start with to get from 300 pounds to 170 pounds, it's not going to be sustainable.
No, you're going to have to make changes along the way for sure. You're going to plateau and things like that. But those initial changes, the initial start, the initial process, that's what, is definitely a passion of mine and what I like to work with. And that's what we're talking about here is we're not trying to get somebody who's, already in really good shape, stage ready to go do a bodybuilding show, dry out, lean out. There's all different detailed ways to do that. We're talking big picture of health and weight loss. And that's what I try to preach to people because they do get lost in the weeds. Everybody loves to look at their favorite elite athlete, whether it be a CrossFit athlete, a bodybuilder, and they're like, oh, this is what they're doing. This, I want to look like them. Let me do that. It's not going to work. They'll probably quit in a couple of days. It's not.
Yeah. One day.
Right. It took either these people.
I've done that a million. I've done that a million times. I still do that.
Right. Either these elite athletes have done it their whole life, what they're doing, or it took them quite a ways to get to that place. Right. They didn't start right there.
I've had that. I haven't done it in a while, but I used to have this cockamamie idea that I was only going to eat 200 calories, and then no more than 200 calories at any one time, and then I would set a timer, and I couldn't eat again for 2 hours. So then I thought if I'm up for 12 hours, the most I would eat is 2,400 calories or something. It was fucking unsustainable cockamamie.
Yeah,
fucking batshit crazy.
But I bet you learned a few things.
I did, and I did, and it works, but it's just not sustainable.
Right. So you learn things, and hopefully you can put that into a sustainable way. But the problem is people do the crash thing and then immediately go right back to what it was before. There's no, I'm going to take a few pieces that I learned here and apply it over a lifelong thing.
Right. And sorry, so I did the math wrong. So then if I ate every 2 hours and I was only awake for 12 hours, that's only 1,200 calories or something because you only eat 6 times.
Oh, every 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And you hear people like, we had Danielle Brandon on the show. And she said she was competing. She was performing at the highest level, trying to consume I think she said 1,200 calories a day. And you're like, holy shit!
And that's
crazy. It looks like her ass fucking just needs 1,000 calories a day to stay alive. It's fucking nuts.
But then that's the thing, and that's there are people like that. But then some people see that and they're like, oh, I better not eat 1,500 calories a day. because, you know, I don't want to end up people are calling her unhealthy for doing that. It's like, no,
And she called herself unhealthy too, which was cool.
And
she called herself out like, hey, that was fucking stupid. I basically passed out.
Yeah, based on her activity level and current body composition at that time, it probably was unhealthy. But for another person who really is not going to add any activity level, a 1,500 calorie diet could be healthy.
Let me show you.
I wouldn't go much less than that, though. Now, then you're going to get into starvation mode and things like that, where your body's just going to grab onto food and store everything they can. So we'll say 1,500 is the minimum. But again, depending on the person, right? Everybody's different. And so you got to find what works for you. But there are a few blanket things that we can all agree on are very unhealthy.
Right. Did anyone in your weight loss journey try to talk you out of it? Oh, Zach, that's not good. Zach, you don't look good. You're too thin. Like, did you get any of that shit?
Not too much, you know, because I mean, I never got like real like skinny. I'm still a bigger guy, but it would be certain things like, oh, like that's all you're gonna eat, or what about, you know, you sure you don't want anything, you know, to snack on during the drive? No, I'll be fine. Like, so it would be things like that almost, that where when you almost kind of learn, you know, the things that you shouldn't be doing, and you just see it. It's so blatant when you see it in a way.
Yeah. Were you with your current girlfriend during this journey?
We got together just a bit after I had started losing weight, probably about halfway through the total like weight loss from that 290, 295 to 225 where I am now. But we had known each other for a long time before we started dating. So she knew big fat Zach, you know?
Yeah. Fascinating. And your parents, were there people around you who were really happy? Like your mom, like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're taking control of your life and you seem so much healthier. Was there that? Were you rewarded?
Yeah, people would say like that they were proud for sure. There wasn't as much of like, you know, like, oh my gosh, like you don't realize, you know, what you've done for yourself, you know, and you're going to be like, your life is so much better now, and all like the full blown congratulations, but like little things like, oh my gosh, you look great. But I mean, for somebody who, as we talked about before, never got complimented on things like that, would get teased about their body, to even his slightest compliment was like, oh my gosh, it's $1 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What is the etiquette on that? One of your homies is 320 and now he's 220.
Yeah.
It's okay to say something to him, right? Like,
yeah,
dude,
for sure.
You look fucking great.
Yeah, that or man, you clearly you've been working hard or something like that.
Okay.
Acknowledging that the effort that you know had to go into this, because nobody just loses a bunch of weight by doing nothing. You know, they had to, even if it's not a ton of physical effort, maybe the mental effort to create these changes we talked about, getting over that hurdle is good for you, man. Like, so yeah, but definitely acknowledging it. I mean, etiquette on that is, at least for me, I was always all for it.
I got food poisoning once, and I couldn't eat for 2 days. And then I remember I posted a picture of myself, like I was sitting up against a wall. I think I was with actually Greg Glassman in Malibu, and I posted the picture, and everyone was telling me how great I looked. But it's because I fucking hadn't eaten in 2 days. Like, you assholes.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, you know, when a person that's already a little bit like, you know, smaller and thinner, and they like to lift, and then they get a little thinner already, it's like, no, don't say anything to them. You know, don't say anything to them. They want to get bigger, you know?
And that is, well, let me show you this too. So then you have this, and this is Sarah Sigmund's daughter. We all know who she is.
Oh, yes.
One of the most remarkable fucking male or female bodies to fucking walk the planet. God knows how much fucking hard work she's put in. But I bet you if you stood her, she looks pretty lean in most of these pictures, but I bet you if you put her next to those girls that we had shown before, she's as big as them.
Yeah. Like
this is a brick shit house.
Yeah.
This is like a fucking lotto fucking woman right here.
Correct. A lot of strength training to add that muscle mass to that frame. Correct. And
it's kind of just normal muscle mass, right? It's just like, that's just DNA expressing itself. There's nothing like, it doesn't look like she's sitting around like purposely trying to do this. This is a body that's being used.
Correct. And yeah, it's proportionate. She doesn't have huge shoulders, small legs, or a huge butt and skinny thighs, and and she doesn't have these weird snake veins going up her biceps.
Right.
This is natural. This is hard work. But then you also get people, and it's not a ton of people, but there are people that would see this, that were morbidly obese, would see this and be like, I don't want to look like this, so I'm not going to start eating healthy on Monday.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hold on, you're so far off here. You're so far off. This body is fucking nuts. I understand also being like shocked by this body because you just aren't used to a body, someone who works this hard in this expression. But what's also fascinating is she is the most popular female CrossFitter on the planet. Yeah, probably has the most Instagram followers.
Yeah. And people just love her. I mean, her personality is kind of off the charts too.
Yeah,
she's kind of the Josh Bridges of CrossFit. Yeah, she's so easy.
Yeah,
I find it fascinating that you would have these two. I'm guessing when she's just. I have no idea. I've never asked her, but I'm guessing when she's just chilling, just a regular, like she's taking a couple of days off, she's eating and drinking what she wants. That she weighs 175 pounds. Yeah, and I'm guessing those other girls weighed 175 pounds too, and it's just like, and I bet you she's not on any medications.
No, and that's what we talked about is, with everybody being different, her diet.
And she might even eat more. Do you think maybe she even eats more than those girls?
That's what I was just about to
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. About to say is that I bet her caloric intake is the same too, but their activity level is vastly different. That's why the first thing when I meet with, new people is getting an idea for their lifestyle, because it could be very different. And like you mentioned, her genes are expressing themselves in that way because of all the work that she's putting into it. But if you're not putting in that work, you don't need to be probably at the same amount of carbs and calories that I'm sure she consumes. Right.
I did a lot of that too in my youth. Work out to eat.
Yeah. That's for sure. And
like I'm going to do one CrossFit workout in the morning, and I really want to go out and just drink a 12-pack of Coors Light tonight. So I'm going to do a second workout before I go out.
Yeah, there was a reason that I kind of got into strongman, and one of the reasons was eating, because it's like I like to work out, but I did it in a way pretty much to eat. Yes.
What's your most your habit you're most proud of?
Like a healthy habit now?
Yeah, with this new older, like in the last 6 years, the Zach habit.
I mean, I would say the liquid calorie one is a big one. I really like on a daily basis, just drink water or black coffee. That's it.
No cream ever, huh? Not even some heavy cream? Good on you.
It tastes good, don't get me wrong, and every now and then, especially because I usually have coffee in the morning, so I'm fasting. But if I do have like coffee after I've broken my fast, sometimes I'll add a little cream. I don't think, but you got to be careful with the cream, right? We're talking how much sugar is in that cream.
Right.
Cream or is it sugar, really, at the end of the day? Even though it's listed as cream, it's probably just a sugar drink.
Right.
And that's another thing that people, I hear a lot, kind of getting a little off topic here, but people are afraid of fats. They think fats are unhealthy. I'm like, no, fats like cheese, cheeses, yes, it can be anything in excess can be unhealthy, but that's not what's got you 100 pounds overweight is you sprinkling a little bit of cheese on your chicken.
Right.
That's not it. It's the all the liquid condiments you're pumping on it, the soda you're having with it, all that type of stuff.
How disciplined do you see yourself getting more and more disciplined? Like 15 years ago, like I don't even know, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, if I went out to dinner with a group of people, I may have gotten dessert. And now I don't even do that. Or even at my own birthday party, I won't even eat a piece of my cake. It's just second nature to me now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also 50, but it's just not even a big deal anymore.
Yeah. And I like to indulge, don't get me wrong, here and there. But I think, being able to control it, you mentioned I'm very proud of that. Being able to have a little something once in a while, but that's it. And not letting it snowball into, at the end of the day, if you mess up on one meal, yes, it's and you didn't stick to your plan, it's not great. But if it's just one time and once a month, okay, that's not what's going to kill you. But if you say, I messed up, screw it, off to Taco Bell for the next meal too. Now we're snowballing, we're getting back into the old habits. But the other thing that you mentioned is getting that type of stuff. I lost my train of thought. I had something I was going to say that was good and I forgot it. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
Okay. In reference to that, what you were just saying, I've never passed on food and then thought in hindsight I should have eaten that.
I remember what I was going to say now.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So another thing I like to tell my clients who were talking about, kind of indulging and enjoying life. And that's the thing. Life is balance, right? And ultimately that's what we want to get you to, is to be able to have that balance. But so that's another big thing is I don't like to, people say like they plan their cheat meals. Every Saturday night I'm going to have a cheat meal. It's like, no, don't plan to cheat. But if you're going out with some friends to a restaurant, and if you've been doing good for a couple weeks, sure, go. Don't tell them no. It's okay. You can go. And then we're going to obviously train ourselves to know what are some of the better choices. We're getting into that healthy versus healthier and some healthier choices at this restaurant. But by all means, go to the restaurant. Have a good social life. Have friends. You don't need to be a recluse to be healthy.
Unless, what if you could leverage? I like it when I leverage my ego for things. Like you could leverage your cheat meal as a reason to not, let's say, hey, on every other Saturday, can go get ice cream.
Yeah.
And so you kind of use that as the backstop to stop fucking. You don't get the reward if you fuck off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, but it's the thing that is dangerous with that. And it can work, but it's like tempting an addict with what they're addicted to in a way.
Right.
And, we're talking about different types of people here, right?
Right.
So there are people that, hey, I'm trying to kind of clean some stuff up, 15 pounds overweight. Once every couple of weeks, I'll have a dessert because I've been good, versus the people who are addicted to food. And we need to kind of change some habits in the thinking. Don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying for sure, having that reward system, but I like to do it with other things besides food.
Yeah.
You don't want to reward the heroin addict with some black tar.
The Toyota dealership, I have 2 Toyotas, and I have to, every month or every 2 months or 3 months, whenever the maintenances are, or the drop-ins, I got to take it to, it's a couple miles from here. And I always, it's funny how well it works. My wife will be like, do you want me to drive you? And I'm like, no. And I go, and the reason why is I go there and drop my truck off, and I know on the walk home I can pass a Starbucks.
Okay, there you go.
And I can get a fucking venti coffee and tell them to put heavy cream in it.
Right.
Fucking just, by the time I get home, I'm like I did a line of meth. You know what I mean? I'm just jacked out of my brain. Look at even you twitched. You twitched a little bit.
Yeah.
Just now. You're like, oh, venti with the heavy cream.
Right.
Yeah. And I used to do that with my bike too. I used to go on this 50-mile bike ride every single day, and I would ride 25 miles to a coffee shop, pour in a hot black coffee, and then ride 25 miles back. But I'm so reward system based. Reward system based.
Right. But you're also centering it around a lot of physical activity.
Right.
So
Always. That's
a big thing for sure. And that's the thing I like to tell people too, is if you can, I get it if you can't, but if you can, after every meal, get up, take a 5-minute walk.
Wow.
After every meal. One few things it's going to do. One, you're adding, let's say you eat 3 meals, 15 minutes of walking a day.
Yeah.
That's calories burned. But also there's a ton of studies these days that are showing how much it helps with the digestion of the meal you just ate, to kind of stay moving, bounce around a little bit.
So all the smart, healthy people I know walk.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Movement is key.
They're walkers. Yeah. Walkers. People, all smart. It seems like they love walking.
Yeah.
Hey, do you notice that ever you have some of your best ideas when you're doing metabolic work too? Whether you go for a run or you're on the assault bike or something, it's like, hey, I used to be like so focused on working out and I didn't want to be interrupted, but now I keep my phone next to me when I'm training, especially anything like cardio shit, and I give myself the leeway to stop and write shit down.
Yeah, I keep
not a lot of stuff. Yeah, but man, you come up with some great shit.
Yes, for sure. I've always been a big fan. There's such a correlation between the mind and the body. Even if it's not, a double-blind university study type thing, it's undeniable the connection between the mind and the body. And so, getting that, I believe getting the body moving gets the mind moving. Like this morning, I got up and, coached a class or 2 classes actually, and kind of got some movement. I feel so much better than if I had just woken up, 30 minutes before this and gotten on all groggy.
Yep. What do you have? Tell me about what it's like working with you. So if people are going to see this podcast and they want to reach out to Zach, what's that look like? Hey Zach, I heard you talking on the Sevan podcast, and I'm 100. I'm in a cart. I'm 200 pounds overweight. When I go to Walmart, I have to fucking jump in a cart. What can you do for me?
Absolutely. So, work with, if you're in the Denver area, I'd love to work with you in person, but that's a whole different, we'll go down that. People message me. I'd love to, work with you. But like, if it's just, I would love to work with everyone. So virtually we can do a ton too. And so the first thing is just, we're going to get to know each other a little bit. I'm going to ask you kind of some questions about, what a normal day in the life looks like, or maybe a little more than a day, probably a normal week in the life. Right. And we're going to kind of see activity wise, dietary wise, what are some habits that we got, some simple things that we can correct. Simple. So we start with those, right? Because just making a few simple changes is one, it's going to start the process of, what we want, the weight loss, getting healthier, things like that. But it's also your mind committing to a change and sticking with it. We're not going to start out with the craziest change. We're going to start out with small changes, but by doing one thing, it leads to another, right? And you can build it from there. Just getting yourself to make some changes is a hard step for a lot of people. But usually what I like to do is talk to them about some of, the big flaws in their dietary habits. Don't get too much into like the exact, like, this is what I want you to eat. I'm not a registered dietitian by any means. All my certifications and all that is in the training realm. But I know what are huge pitfalls that are going to lead you to be where you are. And so we're going to try to correct some of those things. I'm going to give you a general plan, and hey, we're going to try to make it, and let's talk and make it work. So, for instance, I like to eat 3 meals a day. I like to eat 2 meals a day, whatever. Okay, well, let's try to have it be about, this much, we're centered around this type of food, stick to macro stuff, proteins, carbs, fats, not getting too crazy with it. But again, not trying to change too much there, and not trying to get too specific or change too much right away. And then we're also going to talk about activity level. What are some things that we can add in to help burn the calories? So the first thing is talking about calories in. Now, then we'll go to calories burned, right? Calories out. So if we're starting from nothing, all I do every day is, go to work. Some people don't do that these days. They go to the living room where they work. Right. Okay.
Some people don't even go to their bedroom anymore because it's upstairs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you put on so much weight that you don't go to the upstairs bedroom anymore, and now you just sleep on the couch.
Right. So
it's not uncommon.
Right. And so let's say, for instance, this is a client I'm talking to.
Yeah.
So we're going to start super simple. Can you walk up the stairs?
Right.
Is it a physical limitation, or is it just it's too hard right now?
Right.
Right. And if we can walk up the stairs, well, let's do that twice a day. Let's walk up and down the stairs twice a day. Okay. And then I really do try to add in the 5-minute walks after every meal. That's the first thing with people like that I really try to add in, not only just to increase that physical activity, but for the, digestion of the food they just ate.
Right.
And then go from there. Maybe it's somebody
don't eat a box of cereal and then go lay down and go to bed.
Yes, correct. And that's one of the habits that I preach on is eating right before bed. There's so many people, the first thing they think of when they wake up is food, and the last thing they think of when they go to bed is food.
I've talked to so many people. I've never thought of that before. Thinking about food when you go to bed.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people, they're thinking about what they just ate or what they're going to have in the morning. But there's so many studies that have been shown that you don't need to be eating right before you go to bed. You got to look at food as fuel.
I never even think about food when I'm fasting.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I get hungry, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't cause me to think about food. But I know a lot of people who do that. When they're fasting, they start thinking about, when this is over, I'm going to eat this, this, and this. I never did that. I wonder why I don't do that.
It's interesting. I mean, it's good for you.
Yeah.
But there are a ton of people where it's not the case, for sure.
Right.
They have that reward-based system. I'm going to do this, but there's an end in sight and then I'll be able to, focus on that. That creme brulee at the end of the week.
It's like the cartoons when the two guys are trapped on an island, like me and you are trapped on an island, and I look over at you and you turn into a chicken.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You're
You
starving.
know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, exactly. And there's tons of people that's the case. But eating before bed, it just keeps that cycle going. There's a lot of, I'm a big fan of I don't know if you're familiar with him. His name is Steve Maxwell.
No.
He's kind of a strength and conditioning old school guy, but his big thing is, he's big into fasting. There's other people that believe in this and study it too. Probably Paul Saladino's on this, but digestion itself is one of the hardest processes your body will go through on a daily basis.
Right.
So the actual process of digestion. So if your body is just on that constant cycle of always digesting something, all the other stuff, like we've talked about, hormones, your mood, your mood, skin health, things like that, is all going to be out of whack because your body can't focus on all those other things when it's having to constantly digest.
Hey, that's why I started fasting for like 30 to 40 hours every single week. I just wanted to go a year without eating 52 days of the year. I thought, oh, that's kind of a fucking weird thing to say, right? And I kind of wanted to have that just in my resume. Like, hey, I went 1 year, I went 50 days without eating. But now it's been 2 years. And now my wife says, like, I thank God I have my wife does it with me. That really does help. But yeah, I always think about that. Wow, I've given my digestive tract such a rest in the last 2 years.
I'm a big fan, for me at least, like, everybody's different, like, and it's probably, to my old food addict ways, when I'm not doing anything is kind of, and if I'm fasting, then I'm thinking about food. But if I'm kind of moving, which, you might think that's kind of counterintuitive because you're burning calories too. But if I'm doing stuff, it keeps mind occupied, as we mentioned before.
Right.
So,
totally. I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, big thing I like to do is, because, I'm a lot more kind of disciplined and diligent during the week. On the weekends, have some balance, have some fun. But a big thing I like to do is I won't eat on Monday until dinner.
So okay.
Let my body reset after the weekend. I mean, I had plenty of calories over the weekend. I'll be fine. We've mentioned that's a phrase I've said a few times. I'll be fine.
Do you ever get there to the evening and you're like, well, shit, if I don't eat dinner now, then I can just go to sleep and I didn't eat? Because that's why I stopped eating Saturday night, so that I can get in that sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't eat all day Sunday, and then I get in and I go to bed early on Sunday because I'm like, I'm done with this bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm going to bed.
I've done it before. I've done what, you're talking about, the 36-hour, or like over a full, having a full day where you wake up and go to sleep without eating ever.
Yeah, because if you go 24 hours, you might as well, in my opinion, go 36, because all you have to do is just go to sleep now.
Yeah, right. Some people, though, it's hard to fall asleep on an empty stomach, but it's one of the things you're used to it. Your body will adapt to everything. Some people, like when I first started doing the intermittent fasting, which we talked about was forced after the back injury. Right. But it was like I got, at first I would get so hungry, but it is what it is. But your body, it only took a week or so for my body to adapt, and that went away. And so, if you kind of get into a habit of, like you're talking about, just go to sleep, your body will get used to it for sure.
This, I think it was Nicole Carroll one time. She's the director of training at CrossFit. I think one time she did, I want to say for 30 days, she only ate every other day. I kind of always wanted to try that. That sounds fucking hardcore.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That'd be and there's different little things you can do like that for sure, little challenges and stuff. But it's, long term, the sustainability of it is not quite there. But
right. That's totally not sustainable, I don't think.
Well, but there's still a benefit to it. You're training yourself to kick other habits. People, when they detox off of things, it's they're going to feel real bad at first, but you get over it. Your body copes. You learn new things.
Twice, not last year, but the year before, I did 2 5-day water fasts. And I don't think that, for me personally, I don't think that those were good for me.
You meaning like you only had water, or you?
Yeah, I only had water for 5 days.
Okay.
That's not true. The second one, I supplemented with like some potassium or salt, because the first one, some weird shit started happening. But
I bet.
But it was fun. And the reason why I don't think it was good for me, when I came back, like my metabolism seemed like it was fucked.
Yeah, your body definitely can go into a starvation mode. That's for sure.
I
That's
became
why,
unsatiable for like 6 months.
yeah. And, so some people are afraid of fasting, or even intermittent fasting because they don't want that. But it
Right.
takes, like you mentioned, it takes a few days for you to get into that mode. But, there are things, especially like there are things that your body can store very easily. So like if you are coming out of fast and, you're not trying to gain a bunch of weight, don't go eat a bunch of simple sugars or simple
Yeah, I
carbohydrates.
think I went straight to pizza. It was crazy.
Right. And so your body's going to bloat and balloon up and store all of that because
Yeah.
I might not, this is so much calories. I don't know when I'm going to get calories again.
Right.
You go into starvation mode. So then that's when you store it all as fat once again. But so that's why we talk about having those more kind of sustainable, a slow, gradual thing for those people that are needing the major weight loss.
Yeah. Do you love what you're doing?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I'm so much more passionate about this than like the last profession of talking, market trends and finance numbers and stuff like that. This is so much fun helping. I've always loved helping people. It's just kind of been a thing ever since I was like a kid, but being able to find it in this like lane is very, very rewarding.
Yeah. Well, you said you taught 2 classes this morning. Where did you do that at?
So coach at a couple different gyms. This one's a little bit more of like a corporate gym called Choose Fitness up here in Colorado. So teach group classes there part-time. And then train clients out of another gym up in Denver. And it's called Core Progression, actually kind of a new name, but it's one of the owners own multiple gyms in the area and he wants them all to kind of now have the same name.
Yeah.
Kind of umbrella. So that name kind of came down to the past couple of days, but.
And it's a cool environment to be in, huh?
Yeah, no, and that's the other thing is like being in that energy, being in that healthy culture, surrounding yourself. I mean, it's a cliche as old as time. You are who you surround yourself with, and if you're surrounded by happy, healthy people, it's so much easier to be happy and healthy. So much easier.
Is the goal to train people out of your house?
Ultimately, to have my own,
Like
my own
studio?
gym out of my own house, yes, something like that. It wouldn't be like a big it would be like almost like a little studio in a way. I'd probably hopefully have some open gym type stuff, but yeah, ultimately the goal is to have my own place for sure.
My it's funny, I always forget this, but my wife basically has she does CrossFit one day and then does yoga another day. She just has a practice that she goes back and forth.
Yeah.
And she teaches a couple yoga and breathing classes a week, and she has picked up a clientele for our garage that she teaches now a couple times a week.
Right.
And then this guy I did a podcast with yesterday, who I've had on the show 3 times now, Andrew Hiller. He's got a gym in his garage. It's fucking nice.
Yeah.
It's so clean, and it's so cool to see people doing that.
Yeah, and that's something that I've learned a lot more in the past few years. Because as I've gotten more in this industry, I've been doing it steady now for like past 6 to 7 years, full time after the mortgage stuff and back injury. But it's like you learn kind of what you want from your own place. That's always been my goal. So I've always been trying to kind of soak up information. And the one thing I've learned is you don't need much. You do not need much.
Right.
And so I have been in my garage. I do train some people like on the side. I mentioned those 2 gyms, but I do have my own private clients and then also virtual type stuff. But I just have a set of like 9 different weights of kettlebells, a barbell with a couple of things, and bands, and we can do anything.
Get at it.
We can get an amazing workout with that.
People like you for accountability, I'm guessing. I had a friend, the guy who helped that series I did, Killing the Fat Man, where Gary lost 100 pounds. We had a guy at CrossFit HQ, Tyson Oldroyd, sort of be his point man. And one of the things Tyson had him do is anything you put in your mouth, you have to take a picture of and send to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that fucked with Gary, right? I mean, sometimes Gary'd send like a glass of wine. I mean, Tyson didn't like yell at him and shit, but they had this relationship where all of a sudden anything this guy put in his mouth, some other dude had to see. And that kind of puts you in check, right?
Yeah. And I don't like to do that like right away, but it depends, and don't get me wrong, like blanket
powerful tool, right?
Blanket statement, it's amazing. So powerful.
Wait, say that again. What's amazing? Say that again.
That tool that you're mentioning, that accountability is amazing. And like, or like a food log, like actually put it down so that you can see, like, because some people don't even realize how much they're eating. They don't even know.
Right.
Or to write it down or document it in some way, picture whatever. And so that's a great tool that we use for some people, and for people that are like, especially if it's a dire situation, or certain people will start them right off the bat with that. Some people will try other, depending on them, will try maybe be a little bit more slow into the process. But then if we're not getting results, like, why aren't we getting results? You say you think you're eating healthy, like, well, let's document it. Like, let's find out for sure.
Yeah. The photos are awesome. So Jeff asked why I think my thumbs are, that's so funny you say that. You know why? Because I was taking this pen and I was twisting the tip like this. I was just going back and forth in my hand. Oh yeah, and this is purple. Wow.
Just working the tip.
Just work. Thank you. Just working the tip. I really appreciate you coming on. It's always good to know that the work's being done. There's so much. There's so much. Anyone who wants to get in touch with Zach, please reach out to him. Right? It's okay to DM you, Drifting and Lifting.
Please. I'd love to help you. I'd love to talk to you. I mean, even if we don't end up, having a professional working relationship, I'll answer questions. I just want to help out, spread the information, because, like I said, there's so much misinformation out there, and just or there's too much information is sometimes the problem too. People
give me an example of that. What do you mean?
People get into the details. They think, oh, I need to, what's my exact, certain people, what's my exact, eating schedule going to be, 29 protein to 13 carb at 10 a.m. I'm going to, this, that, and another. And you don't have to go right to that, especially when you're so far away from being in any sort of elite fitness type level.
Right. That shit overwhelms me too.
And so, yeah, if you go pick up like a men's health or like a women's health or a muscle and fitness, the information in there is not necessarily tailored to somebody who's 150 pounds obese.
Right.
And it's more for the people trying to dial it in, maybe we could say. And so there, you gotta stick to the basics. Don't worry too much about, certain things when, you need to be concerned with your overall calorie intake versus burned, and sugar, and especially carb and sugar intake. That's the number one.
Carb and sugar intake. Boy, how many 1,000 times have you guys heard that? Zach, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to close with?
No, Sevan, I really appreciate it, man. Been a fan ever since the behind the scenes docs back in the day. Huge fan, and I appreciate you having me on. I'd love to maybe we could chat at some point again.
Yep.
But, thank you to everyone that listened, and you're the man.
Awesome. Thank you. Stay in touch, brother.
Yes, we'll do. Take care.
Okay. Ciao. And another show. Yesterday in the show, I said something along the lines that no one had ever been. Greg never fired anyone from HQ. And someone sent me a text and was like, well, that's not true. This person and this person got fired. This person. So maybe you're right. It was very rare. And when I say, so there was up until 2018, it was so rare to get fired. Like you had to do something like like there were people on the payroll who who hadn't done a fucking thing in a year, right? 2 years. It was basically like a family. But after 2018, when Greg appointed a new CEO, yeah, there were all sorts of fucking firings. That guy got fired. That CEO guy got fired. So that was my point. In the early years, in those first 10 years I was there, I can't remember anyone getting fired unless you just did something absolutely fucking batshit crazy, or you just didn't work. Like literally you just fell off the radar. No one had heard from you for a year. So the spirit of what I said was extremely accurate. I think you can find a ton of people who now in hindsight would be like, yeah, I should have fucking been fired. Corey Leonard, Zach. Yes, Zach is a good dude. It looks like tomorrow. I need to check with Souza to see what's going on here. Can I call? I've never called. I wonder if I can just call Souza on on this hotline. I wonder if he'll even answer. I wonder if he knows this number. Let's see. Go here. Go to the phone number. Punch in. Let me see if I can. Oh, maybe I could just send Matt. Maybe I'll just send him a link. Maybe he'll just come in. Let's see. Where is he? Can you come on the show for a minute? It looks like tomorrow we might have the High Rocks winner. I see the young lady's name here. What is it? Chris Rugloski. I wonder if it's the same girl that I saw. She's so pretty. Let's see. Chris Rugloski. Yeah, it's her. Man, I think if I read right, she looks young. I think she took 12th place the year before. Oh no, the champion from last year took 12th place this year. But let's see. I'm going to go to her Instagram. So it looks like we might be having this young lady on tomorrow. Okay. Well, shit. This should be a fucking great show. I'll show you guys her. Hold on. Let me pull up her Instagram. Share screen. This is her right here. Chris Rugloski. I hope she speaks English. She doesn't look American, right? Let's see this right here. Let's see what's going on here. Bam, there she goes. High Rocks, Dallas. That finish line feeling is always the best. This just might be the best one yet. Okay, and I think that's the one where Hunter set the world record. So then this young lady was also at the Vegas event this last week, and she won the worlds. Wow, so she's getting at it. All right, and she writes in English, so I'm guessing she speak it to English. Okay, awesome. Holy shit, cool. All right, it'll be our first female High Rocks athlete. We've only had Hunter on. So that's tomorrow evening, it looks like. And that's going to be weird. Tomorrow it's going to be a beach day. Ooh, it's going to be hot tomorrow. And then on Thursday, it looks like we'll have a live call-in show. On Friday, we have Dr. Stan. That's going to be a fun one. And then Saturday or Sunday, I need to schedule Yevgeny. It's been a couple weeks. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for checking in. I will see you guys all very soon. Bruce, you can come back to the show tomorrow.